I'd like to start with a prayer for our parishes. So if we could just join together and pray. I think this is a beautiful prayer. You might have heard it before. It's a prayer for our parish. So in the name of the Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit. Heavenly Father, you have chosen the parish as the place by which you encounter us in our daily lives. Here your word is proclaimed, the Eucharist is celebrated, and your people are united in a family of believers. We thank you for the abundant blessings you have given to our parish, and we pray that we may continue to serve you in faithfulness and in love. Keep us open to our need of your love and fellowship. Please help us work together to serve you and each other for the good of the church, for the people of the parish, and for your greater glory. Amen. Okay, here we go. We're going to introduce 4 resources. Each of them grew out of a challenge. And isn't that what challenges do to us? Even during COVID, we started to do things very differently. And I think that's God calling us to be more creative and more uncomfortable, and also God delivering in the God of surprises. So one of the first challenges that we encountered with this program that I'm going to introduce to you was when the pandemic started last March. And a colleague of mine, I don't even know if she's here on the call, but her name is Melody Wittenbach. She is the director of the Roche Center for Catholic Education here at Boston College. She is also the mother of 3 young kids. I'm the mother of 4 daughters. They're older. But she called me on a Saturday morning and she said, Karen, we're struggling. I'm talking to so many young families and they're not going to church, or they're trying to watch the virtual mass, and they're struggling with that, and they're trying to keep their kids engaged, and they're worried about how long COVID's going to last, and how can we help them as they journey so that they come back to the pews, and that they feel a sense of fulfillment with the virtual mass. Is there anything that we can come up with? So we brainstormed a little bit, and she had mentioned to me that her son had a really charismatic pre-K teacher, her name being Miss Ann Crane, who is also with us here today. And also we knew of a young Jesuit, Father Tran, who did the family mass at St. Ignatius here in Chestnut Hill, and knew that he was just so vibrant. So we kind of schemed and thought, could we put together a program that would invite families to Zoom with us? I know it sounds crazy, to Zoom with us on Sunday morning at 9 o'clock before a virtual mass, and kind of break open the word and have fun and pray and sing and offer joy to one another. And so anyway, we thought, let's give it a shot. Came up with the name Breakfast with God, and we reached out to Anne and we reached out to Father Tran and said, want to give it a go? It'll be a 30-minute program and we'll start it. I say that to you all today because we just finished this past Sunday our 35th episode. Anyone can access this program, Breakfast with God. You can share it with your parishioners. You can share it with your family. You can share it with anyone that might be interested, because you register online, and we'll give you the links to do that. And then we send you the Zoom link. But another thing I want you to think about, as Anne and Father Tran talk a little bit about the power of Breakfast with God, is that you also might have an Anne Crane in your parish or in your Catholic school, or a Father Tran. I don't know, that might be hard because we just hit the jackpot with the 2 of them, and they're a dynamic duo. But you can actually follow this model and create it at your parish level. And at the same time, you don't have to do that. You can just join our community, turnkey. So let me introduce to you Miss Anne Crane. Again, she's a pre-K teacher at St. Columbkille's School in Brighton, Massachusetts, and also a graduate of the School of Theology and Ministry at Boston College. And she is one of the co-hosts of the program. And then I want to introduce Father Tran. But Anne, let's start with you. Tell me the model for Breakfast with God, or tell everyone the model for Breakfast with God and how we set it up and why it works.
Sure. So hi, I'm recognizing a lot of familiar faces. So hi, everybody. I've met a few of you over the years. I worked in religious ed before this. I got my master's at BC for divinity, and then I got another master's in early childhood ed at BC. So I've seen a lot of you in different times. So hi. When we first started talking about Breakfast with God, a lot of families were really missing religious ed and missing mass, and we weren't sure how long this was going to last. And so when we all started talking and what structure was needed, the most important things were that it was a followable schedule for kids so that they could follow the structure and format. Kids crave structure. So something that was very predictable that children can follow along with, something that was short and palatable for a stressed out family, which is the kinds of families that are in a pandemic. And I think that we also wanted to make sure that it was not mass, that it was not a substitution for mass, but that could be used as a practical thing to go alongside a streamed mass, which sometimes is long for children. And sometimes it's hard for kids to be on a screen for that long. So knowing those things, we started to look at the structure. So we begin with an opening song. It's a very predictable routine. We say good morning, we sing an opening prayer, and then we preview the gospel, which is very important for kids to get a little preview. We stand, we sing hallelujah, we explain why we do that. Father reads the gospel and does a homily that is both for the kids and for the adults. And then I find a children's book that has an appropriate tie-in to the theme and the mission of the gospel for that week. Usually we do try to get something that has a strong storyline that kids can relate to. Sometimes the Jesus stories are very relatable for kids, and sometimes they're not. So it's hard for kids to understand sometimes the language. So that's why we use children's books. And then we do a craft or an activity that the family can do together following Breakfast with God. And we have received a lot of pictures from families who have done these projects. And it's so delightful to know that they're enjoying this work. And then after that, we pray together, which is our favorite part of this sort of breaking open of the word. The kids pray for things and the families pray for things that are very important to them. We all pray together and we give a sign of peace. We say the Our Father together. We have a closing prayer, a closing blessing, and then we sing to end our time together. And it's so wonderful. We see the same families every week. So I think the structure is really helpful to families.
And preview a little bit about when you talk about prayer and you open it up and the kids unmute themselves and they tell you what they're praying for, or they'll write their prayers in the chat. What exactly do you do to send the prayers up to God?
Yeah, so I think when you're explaining how to pray, as adults, I think we learned to pray in a very specific way, but sometimes prayer is a little abstract for kids, and also kids need to be moving. The younger they are, the more they need to move. So we wanted to do a very movement-friendly prayer. So, and it's helpful to envision what prayer is with movement sometimes. So we have the kids show us their prayer hands, and then we think about the people or the things that we'd like to pray for. Usually we preface it by saying, like, who's somebody that you know who might be in need, or they always want to pray for animals. Animals are very important to them. And then what we do is we think all of our kind and loving thoughts, and we think really hard, and we want to fly those prayers out to the world. So we flap our wings and we fly the prayers up to heaven and to all the people who need it. And it's so real for them to think about prayer that way, because their minds are so magical still. So it is funny. We had a child who stayed on until the very end, and she had a question, and she said, "Miss Crane, when we prayed for teachers, did you feel it?" And I said, "Yeah, I did feel it. I felt it in my heart. I love it when you send your prayers out. We do feel it. It's so wonderful." So it's so real for them. It's definitely our favorite part of Breakfast with God.
I also love too that we're seeing hundreds of kids in their pajamas, eating their breakfast and praying and jumping and laughing and singing, and God is so alive. Speaking of God being alive, let me introduce you to Father Tran, Father, are you there? Want to introduce yourself and give us a little background?
Hi, I'm Father Huang Tran. I'm a Jesuit priest. a graduate student at Boston College doing the doctoral program in counseling psychology, and help out at the parish at St. Ignatius from time to time. And I was helping out at the family mass up until COVID hit us. But yeah, so that's my background.
And then can you explain how you talk about the gospel to the kids and how you make it so relatable, and then how your conversation with them becomes a teachable moment so that they're actually getting a mini religious ed class?
Right. So I guess I want to preface by saying that I often steal my ideas from the little kids for my homilies because, we had a lot of little kids in our family and cousins. So I always tap their little heads because they always see things a little differently, like the mysteries of the kingdom aren't revealed to the wise, but, to the little ones. And I get them to help me understand the passage from their perspective. So taking their perspective seriously, they might say some silly stuff, but you don't want to laugh at them or put it down. It's like, why? Why did they say that? Why did they see it in that way? And I guess there's some instructional things in what I'm doing. So explaining, what does that baptism mean when Jesus got into the water? But I guess my bigger goal is getting them to meet Jesus, getting them to know the story. Everything we do for the most part in Breakfast with God is really visceral and tactile, like Miss Crane was talking about. So, I had a great scripture teacher who said, why are we teaching high school kids exegesis? Teach them the story. Get them to know the people in the stories. Get them to meet Jesus. So I guess you can call it a Ignatian Jesuit thing too, where when we're in a gospel passage, and some gospel passages are much more, it's easier to do than others. We had some rough weeks too, right, Ms. Crane? Woe to you and all that stuff. But, so for example, I would get them to go into the scene, right? So I need y'all to go to Mary's house, right? What do you see? What do you see? And I open it up for them and they're like, yeah, I see this little house. And I say, what color is the house? And then the kids tan. And then one said, it's blue. I said, why is it blue? Because it's Mary's favorite color. It's like, oh, that's interesting, right? So then, okay, now go in and knock on the door and say hi to Mary and ask her if you could put your head on her belly, right? And then I said, what do you hear? And they start raising their hands and they start, coming up stuff, right? So they could meet Mary, so they could hear Jesus. We had one time, I was trying to get them because we were talking about, I forgot which passage, but it's like, what does Jesus smell like? Right? And some said sheep, and some said, bread. One said bread and wine. I said, oh, that's a creative one. And then one said he smelled like lollipop. And I was like, all right, maybe. But it's just getting them to meet the Lord. And the lesson is important too, like what does it mean and stuff, but that's more secondary, I think. Yeah.
I also think too that Breakfast with God is an opportunity for kids to come to Breakfast with God while their parents are in the room, or sometimes their parents, they're all sitting around the table or on the sofa. Another beautiful thing is that a lot of families have reached out to their grandparents or to other family members that live across the country and have them tune in. We did a special family Thanksgiving Breakfast with God, and we had family members from across the country. And so that's a unifying factor in one of the great blessings of Zoom and kind of coming together and creating that virtual community. I want to just, Anne, if you would just show them how you close out Breakfast with God. And then I just want to talk to my friend Valerie, who just witnessed Breakfast with God on Sunday as the Faith Formation Director at St. Anne's Church in Avon, Connecticut. So can you show us?
Absolutely. So we usually end by saying, it brings us so much joy to be together every week. It's a great start for our week. I usually remind them of whatever our mission is for that week that was given to us in the gospel. And then we think about all the joy we have, and we want to share that joy with each other. So then we sing. So if you guys want to sing with me, I'm going to sing it. Is that, Karen, is that what I
You
should
sing
do?
it, and then what we've had, just let them know that the second verse, all the families unmute themselves, and then they sing with you together.
Right. And if you've ever tried to sing with a group of people on Zoom, it doesn't work. It's cacophony. It's wild, but that's pandemic, and it's a joyful noise. So I'm going to sing. And when I give you a thumbs up, if you know the words, you can sing with me too. All right, ready? So I've got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart. I've got that joy, 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 joy down in my heart. Where? Down in my heart to stay. And then I thumbs up. You can unmute if you want. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart. And I'm so happy, so very happy. I've got the love of Jesus in my heart.
And it's so great just hearing so many people singing that song together. I just want to go for one quick second to my friend Valerie, Valerie St. Jean. I said to her, you have to, check out Breakfast with God, and please come. And so she came on Sunday, and she's here today. So I just, not to put you on the spot, Valerie, but what did you think?
I absolutely loved it. I learned a lot for my own program. I have a similar model I'm doing, so I'm going to borrow some great ideas from you. But when it was over, I was so uplifted and joyful and happy, and it set a tone for my day that just got rid of a lot of the worry and stress that I think most of us feel every morning when we get up and we hear the news that, COVID and sickness and death. And it was a very positive thing. And I think the joy is contagious. And I loved Father Tran's visual of the water that you dirtied with pepper. And then when Jesus came into the water, I thought, what an incredible analogy for kids. I mean, they were glued to you, which was another thing that I thought was wonderful. They were listening and following and having fun.
That's great. Well, we're glad you could join us. And
thank you.
So speaking of joining us, if you're interested in Breakfast with God, Patrick can tell us a little bit about how you can register. That said, if you check it out, take it. Everything we have is yours. Like Father Michael Himes here at Boston College always says, you never own anything until you give it away. So we're giving everything away. So take the songs, take the idea, take the model, or take the link and use it. I don't think you'll be disappointed. We are going forward with Breakfast with God, probably way into this year. We'll see where God takes us. Like I said, 35 episodes, and we thought we'd just be doing it for 6 weeks. So here we go. But Patrick, how can they find out how to get the link to sign up to register for Breakfast with God?
Karen, the link is on, you can find the link at bc.edu/C21 under programs and under Breakfast with God. And Elizabeth has shared the link here in the chat, and that'll take you directly to the registration page. And that's how you can find it.
Want to say anything about the families or?
Yeah, so I spent a lot of time on the back end, and being that Breakfast with God is a digital program, there's a lot of information and insights that we look closely to sort of gauge what the users are telling us, and we can adjust accordingly. And, we always look at good markers that tell us for growth. And so, our monthly rate as far as our subscriber list has grown 25%. Since we started the program, we've had about 2,100 RSVPs. So those are all good positive indications that people are resonating with what Breakfast with God is doing out there. For anyone who's interested in terms of rolling this program out, we found what works is to set up sort of like a framework for communications on the email side, to have about 2 emails per week. Anything more we found to be negative in terms of too much. So, and we schedule these emails 1 week in advance. We found that scheduling them out a month in advance was sort of too far ahead. So 2 emails, 1 email 3 days leading up to the session, the Sunday session, and we found that a 1-hour reminder was extremely helpful, just to remind people that last second. You know, it's heading into the weekend, families are busy, and that 1-hour email at 8 a.m. in the morning was really helpful to get some people back on to the session. And as far as the future, we're talking about having sort of like a video archive of Breakfast with God video sessions so people can enjoy the content asynchronously. And that's something that we're in the talks right now.
We do videotape some of the episodes, and probably we'll be doing a lot more of that. So if you're interested in receiving an episode or just getting a trial of it, just email us at church21@bc.edu. Moving on, because time is a wasting. So thank you, Anne. Thank you, Father. And thank you for all that you're doing for so many families. Next up, now, mind you, if you have any questions regarding Breakfast with God, we can answer them at the end, okay? So next model that grew out of a challenge. So we were talking to a lot of people across the country that said that they wanted to get involved in their parish more deeply, but they were struggling with their commitment and their time. And so, yeah, sure, do they want to sign up for a retreat, or did they want to sign up for some kind of a faith formation program that was 6 weeks long or 3 weeks long? But then what would happen is maybe they would start it, they wouldn't finish it, maybe they wouldn't even start it at all. And so we started to think, gosh, we know we all crave community. We know people love to be in community. We know that we need all of us to provide opportunities for us to share our faith and talk about our faith with both friends and strangers. And so we took a look at our magazine, which I'm going to talk about in just a little bit. We have a magazine called C21 Resources. We send it out twice a year across the country to 180,000 people. We've done 33 issues of the magazine on tons of different topics and themes that challenge the church, and at the same time that raise the church up. And so we thought, wow, there have been so many articles. There's like 16 articles in every magazine. Why don't we put together some kind of a small group model? We'll invite people to download a guide, a really simple guide based off of a theme. The theme might be relationships. The theme might be the Eucharist. The theme might be gratitude. It might be suffering. It might be friendship. It might be baptism or the Eucharist. And they would download this very simple guide, and then they would invite friends from the parish to come around for breakfast or lunch or dinner and have a small group discussion about the certain theme based off of 2 or 3 articles that are in the guide. Now, a Faith Feeds guide looks like this, and you download it, and it gives you everything you need to do this, to have a small event, to have a bigger event. We've done Faith Feeds events with like 80 people where there are 10 people at each table. Before COVID, we thought this is such an intimate and wonderful way to bring people together and have a conversation. And then COVID hit, and then we realized this was all about the intimacy. This could never work on Zoom. But the God of Surprises said, yes, it can. And then we rolled out our virtual Faith Feeds model on Zoom. And this program, which started like a year and a half ago, has become so popular. We have so many guides on our website. Elizabeth will show you the links to all the guides that you can download. We have a special section on our website for Lent, Lenten Faith Feeds. Again, another connection I wanted to make with Breakfast with God with Lent too is, well, obviously doing Breakfast with God all through Lent. And you can just take a look at the guides and you can read through them and you can see how simple it is to do this. Now, if in fact you're saying as a parish leader or a pastor or anyone involved in moving your parish forward, I can't handle one more program. Well, we do a Faith Feeds every Friday at 1 p.m. And we've been doing it religiously since the pandemic hit. And it has become just a beautiful community of people that come and go on Fridays or that stay together. Everyone is invited. We have the link. You can register on our website to attend Friday afternoon faith feeds. That said, you're probably saying, I work on Fridays. I can't do Fridays at 1. The beauty of the virtual faith feeds is that you can do it anytime, or in your parish, or you can do it with anyone. You can do it with your family. But also now, because it's become so popular, during Lent, we're offering Tuesday night faith feeds at 7 p.m. Again, you register, we send you the link, you send it out to your whole parish. Anyone and everyone's invited, and then we break into small groups. So for example, if we had 100 people sign up for a Lenten faith feeds, you would come together, and then we break you off into breakout rooms of 10. And then we have hosts that facilitate the conversation. Again, all the questions for a facilitator are in here. It is so easy to do. And the articles are just so interesting and insightful and informative. And the people you meet along the way is just kind of pretty remarkable. I see in the gallery here some of our faith feeds, Friday faith feeds friends, I call them, and they can attest to the fact that this program is working. That said, I want to draw your attention to our website again for Lent, for faith feeds, because you can just go in and see the different guides that you can use during Lent. If you decide you don't want to use those guides, we have tons of other guides for other themes that you can use. It's really that simple. Also, if you're interested, we have fun little Faith Feeds napkins, and we have Faith Feeds stickers. And so we have little things that can kind of bring your faith feeds to life, but that's probably not until COVID is over. Although maybe with God's grace, that'll be sooner rather than later. Patrick, tell the gallery a little bit about how many people are participating in faith feeds nationally and internationally, what the downloads have been, and that the program's free and it's so simple to use and it's yours.
Thank you, Karen. I mean, as Karen alluded to earlier, I too consider this an up-and-coming marquee program. Our insights continue to tell us the same thing, that there is a tremendous need for community. And I'll give you some numbers here, some data points. Since the launch of the program, Faith Feeds has generated over almost 9,000 downloads and 5,100 page views. And what we found that was striking was users who actually access our online digital PDFs of Faith Feeds spend twice as much time reading our content compared to the average session duration for internet content, which is basically 2 to 3 minutes, and our users are upwards of 4 minutes. 85% of our users stay engaged, whereas the average is about 55%. So there's definitely a need for community. There's definitely a need for engaging in that type of content, faith-based content. And overall, Faith Feeds has been accessed in over 45 different countries and 49 states within the United States. So those are all great positive indications that there's definitely a need out there for building online communities.
You know, I want to point out too that I'm inside of a Faith Feeds guide here, and there's 2 articles. This is the guide on the Eucharist, and so it's a short article, maybe 2 pages. Some people read the articles before they come to Faith Feeds. Other people read them during Faith Feeds, and then they're short enough. At the next page, it basically summarizes the article and then has questions for conversation starters. So you don't have to prepare, and it's a beautiful thing because it's so organic, and you can really take a Faith Feeds guide and do one guide, one theme, and do it a number of different times. And depending upon who your Faith Feeds partners are, the conversation looks very different. That's right up on the screen. Elizabeth just is kind of walking you quickly through. We'll just go fast through that, Elizabeth, just so that they can see. But again, you can just download this. And I know, Paula, you're here and you're so much a part of our Faith Feeds community. Do you want to say anything? Paula Dolliver. And Paula is actually the Faith Formation Director out in Framingham, Massachusetts. Can you get her off of mute, Elizabeth? There you go.
Yay, thank you. Okay. Yes, I I found this. I'm not sure who invited me initially, but um, at the beginning of the pandemic, I found that I was just like sitting home alone, or maybe in my office with no children. I was the faith formation director, still am, but no children to direct, no catechists, no parents, whatever. We had to kind of stay away from one another. So when I found this and joined, it was like, oh, this is great. This is adults sharing faith and people from all over, not all church people. A lot of folks were parents themselves and office workers. And it caught me at just the right place in my heart, in my faith. And I've been coming, as Karen said, almost every week, missed a couple, and was very sorry that I did. But yes, I would recommend this to anyone who's looking for a way to share your faith, to grow a little bit, and to meet some wonderful people.
And, again, we're not trying to sell this program because the center hosts this Faith Feeds on Friday afternoons, or now it will be Tuesday nights too. But we're basically saying you can do this too at your parish. And it wouldn't take a lot to set up. And it's really turnkey. And it's yours for keeps. And also, if you're looking through the guides and you have an idea for a theme for a guide, let us know, because we probably have articles that fit that guide, and we make custom guides. Also, if there's any theology teachers or Catholic school teachers in the gallery here, if you're doing professional development, we have special guides for teachers and for leadership to do faith feeds with their other colleagues. And then also a lot of the faith feeds guides can be used in confirmation classes. They can be used in high school classes, at colleges, and also at the parish level. So again, faith feeds, it's yours for the taking, okay? Let's move on. Again, write down your questions and you can ask them afterwards. Again, I want to move on to a third resource. And it's called the Drawing God Project. And I mentioned to you that all of these resources were born out of a challenge. So this challenge happened, well, first of all, the challenge was at the center. We were trying to figure out new ways to come up with resources to reach young families. And knowing that maybe they were reading the magazine, maybe they could participate in a program here or there, but maybe they couldn't get out at night. Like, what could we offer young Catholic families that would engage their children in the faith and have it not be intimidating, and have it be kind of creative and exciting and accessible. So anyway, God had a plan. I was at the grocery store a couple of years ago, and I was in the produce section, and I tell this story that it was a Sunday afternoon. I just ran in to get a couple of things. We all know what that's like, right? The dreaded grocery shop on Sundays. And I'm in the produce section, and I overhear these two little kids talking, and one kid says to the other kid, "My mother said you shouldn't talk about God at school because it makes people feel uncomfortable." And I remember thinking at that moment, are we really there? And I think a lot of us are shaking our heads, like we are there. And as a mother of four girls, like being in the schools, during their childhood, like you realize they start to take things away, and you can't say this and you can't do that and you can't be here and you can't go there. And I started to think, we can't have a world where young kids can't feel comfortable talking about God. So I started to pray about it and say, God, we have to come up with something that will get more kids and maybe adults like talking about God. And then 2 weeks later on a Sunday afternoon, I sat down and I wrote this story called Drawing God. And the story itself is about a little girl who is just filled with charisma and this contagious faith. And she goes to the art museum and she decides she wants to draw like Picasso, and she wants to draw something beyond spectacular. And at that moment, she decides she's going to draw God. And we know how that's going to go, right? So she has a heck of a time trying to convince her friends that she's drawing God. And then her friends start to turn against her, thinking she's crazy because she thinks she can draw God. But she does see God in the sun, and she does see God in bread, and she does see God in a heart and in love. And then she prays to God and then realizes, I don't care. After her prayer, like the next day, she realizes, I don't really care what anyone thinks, because I knew I drew God. God knew I drew God, and maybe Picasso too. And then what happens is she goes back to school on that Monday, and every kid in the school is drawing God, and every picture is different. And I didn't even know what I was writing when I was writing it. It came very fluidly, and I realized there were a lot of lessons tucked in. I was able, through God's grace, not through the center, but through God's grace, and eventually the center, but to get a publisher to publish it. They fast-tracked it, and Drawing God came out, and we adopted it as one of the center's initiatives. And before the book came out, I wanted to make sure that this wasn't just a book that got kids talking and thinking about God, but I wanted the book to be a verb. And so it came out last October, a year ago, this past October, and we launched World Drawing God Day in November. We just had our second one this past November. And we had kids in classrooms and parishes across the country and around the world drawing God and talking about God. And this has become a really big initiative and a catalyst for incredible conversation, but also the artwork was just amazing. So we launched this virtual Drawing God Art Museum, which is on the Drawing-God website. You can have access to it. You can participate in this project. You can engage your young kids in your parish and thinking about God and using the book to draw God. Send us your pictures, your JPEGs. We can do an exhibit in the museum for your parish. Every month we do something special on the Drawing God website, drawing-god.com, to engage young kids and teachers in projects, Drawing God projects. This month we have a Drawing God Valentine's Day card contest. So kids can enter, you can find it on the website, and then the winning card, or the image for the winning card that we're going to select, not only wins $100, a gift card, but that will be a card that we print up and then send out to all hospitals on the front line. And now other parishes are picking up on it, and they're doing their own Drawing God Valentine contests. And again, take it, it's yours, and it's right there. For Lent, so many things on the Drawing God website for Lent with your kids. If you go to the website, you can see downloadable templates where kids can draw themselves on Ash Wednesday. There's also prayer guides where kids can learn how to pray by drawing. We have a special initiative called Stations of the Cross with Drawing God. Last year we launched it. You download the guide and it walks kids through creatively the Stations of the Cross, using the book Drawing God, but then also having blank frames, and so that they can draw the station. And this year we're rolling out workshops. Elizabeth, you could probably throw up the slide for this. Workshops, virtual workshops that you can participate in on Zoom, your kids can participate in, your parish can participate in. We're doing 4 workshops in March that will walk the kids through the Stations of the Cross. And again, you can register for these, and then we send you the Zoom links, and I'm actually leading the workshops. And if you take a look at the downloadable guide, Elizabeth, if we can go back to me and I can show them the guide, it's right here, but you can also print it out, use it, but this is what I mean by the blank frames. And then of course it teaches them the stations. So the first workshop, I'll do the first 3 stations, and then the second workshop we'll do the next 3, and then so on and so on. And it really gives them a sense to understand the Stations of the Cross and understand where they see themselves in Jesus and when they see others in Jesus. And I just was astounded at the artwork and the downloads last year. So this year we've kind of amped it up and are going to offer more resources. Again, for Drawing God, the Drawing God website, we have a Drawing God Kids Book Club. Why? Because I went to Barnes & Noble and I said, could you please tell me where your Christian books are? And I said, because I don't see any of them in the kids book section. And they said, oh, no, there was a corporate edict. We can't put them in the regular kids section. They're under Christianity on the bottom shelf. So I thought, there are so many wonderful, beautiful kids' books that are out there that don't see the light of day because no one even knows they're there. So we started a Drawing God Kids Book Club, and we feature authors that have created beautiful books, and those books and those stories were inspired by their faith. And we introduce kids once a month on a Thursday afternoon at 4:00 to the author. We read the story and they ask the author questions. And it has just been so much fun. Again, free resource. You sign up for it, you register, it's yours. Go to the Drawing-God website. Anything you see there is yours. And I'm also happy. I love this project. I do believe it was God's hand was working in all of this, and I'm happy to do Zoom visits with your religious education classes. I'm happy to do anything. Again, the resources there. Moving on, the fourth model or resource that I want to give to you. I mentioned we have a magazine called C21 Resources. It comes out twice a year, and the most recent C21 Resources was actually on the parish, Catholic parishes' grace at work. And it's really interesting articles that hopefully will be a catalyst for ideas for you and for your work in the parish and your conversations with each other. As we were going to press with this, again, the pandemic hit, and then we put together a supplement, and the supplement shares all the beautiful ideas from parishes that have been so creative and doing incredible work during this time, and I'm sure you're all one of them. This magazine we send out to 180,000 people twice a year, so it's a huge investment for the center and from Boston College. That said, we ship them to parishes across the country for free. You can download the magazines, all 33 issues, on our website so that you can use them in your bulletin, or you can use them in your own conversations, or you can use them in your classes. They are yours. They are yours. You don't have to worry about us saying, you're stealing this, there's copyright. There's so many beautiful issues: the gift of friendship, the treasure of Hispanic Catholicism, conscience at work, Catholic families, living faith, revitalizing our church. They're all there. And the magazine itself is as pliable as your own imagination. Use it and make it work for you, and know that it's yours. And that we ship for free. So once we get back and COVID is over and our parishes are flourishing, know that we can be sending cases to your parish. And also too, share the link on the website. Elizabeth has it in the chat too, about how you can sign up to receive a free copy of C21 Resources, how your parishioners can sign up to receive a free copy of the magazine twice a year. Our next issue will be coming out in a couple of months, and it's on the Catholic Church and racial injustice. So that will be a timely issue. We're working on that now. So anyway, those are 4 resources. If you dig deep, and actually you don't even have to dig that deep, but you can use these resources for your Lenten journey, but you can also use them now. And we get how busy you are. We know that COVID has put a strain on all of us. So the last thing you need is more work. So I hope that these resources can help you and move you forward. We have probably another 4 I could share with you, but I just did 4 just so that we could keep this conversation, within an hour, because we have a lot more resources. But you can find those on our website and other opportunities. And I hope that as part of our listserv, that you'll receive monthly communications from us and let us know, and we can let you know of the things that are happening at the center and the things that we're rolling out, because we're always looking for good ideas. If you have an idea and you don't have a way to roll it out in your parish, maybe we can help. Give us, give us a call or send us an email. All that information is on our website. So I want to open it up for questions and comments or anything that we can share with you. So you can just unmute and ask away.
Karen?
Yeah.
Who are you tapping for helping with the racial injustice? Any chance that Reverend Brian Massengill is, because he's perfect for racial injustice.
Yeah, his voice is pretty amazing. Yeah, we've put it this way, we haven't put the collection out, but we're definitely, Brian's been in several of our other magazines, so he's definitely a powerful voice.
Okay, but specifically racial injustice, though. I hope you
Oh,
have.
I know. He's done so much work.
Yes,
So
and some
much work.
Hispanic too, hopefully.
Yeah.
Some Latino,
Mhm.
Okay,
Hofsman Espino's voice will be in there too, so.
thank you.
Other questions? I know I think I just saw in the chat quickly, someone asked about short videos. Yeah, we have a lot of videos on our website. And if you're looking for something in particular, just let us know. Over the years, since the center started back in 2002, we just have so many programs. So if there's something that you're thinking about and you need more resources, send us an email and we'll find it.
Karen, quick question about the Drawing with God for the Stations of the Cross. Will those be recorded to be viewed at a later date?
Yes, we will definitely be recording them. And we've been so happy because we've had so many people from all over the world that have not only participated in faith feeds, but also Drawing God. And of course the time zone's a challenge, right? Like even with Breakfast with God, it's 9 a.m. Eastern time. We have a couple of Jesuits that log on early to see their nieces and nephews, but the time isn't as convenient. So yes, we will absolutely be recording those, and then you have access to those on the website. Thank you for that question.
Thank you.
Someone asked in the chat, what is the target age group for Breakfast with God?
I would say the age group is, well, we have babies, but probably, there's 2-year-olds and 3-year-olds, and at the same time, we have a couple of kids that are 8 and 8. Connor's 10. So it really varies. Also, you know what I love about it, Breakfast with God? Like, we also have families where the kids are like 4 and 5, but then they have older siblings that are even teenagers, and they sit with them and come with them. So I guess like any good resource, it's I think ageless, honestly. We even have adults that just come by themselves. We have, which is beautiful. Other questions? How can we help you?
Karen, the age group for the Lenten faith feeds too. I noticed that you have for the younger kids. Is that for adults too, or do you have adult type of Lenten faith feeds?
Well, the Lenten faith feeds on our website is really for adults.
Okay.
So but the Drawing God Stations of the Cross.
Got it.
Drawing God Ash Wednesday and all the templates that we have placemats you can print out so that parents can print just download the template and they can print out a placemat so that their child could be eating and whatever, and then they can draw God on the placemat. So just a lot of fun stuff. Again, we get a lot of our ideas from you. So if you have an idea, let us know. Maybe we could help bring it to life.
Are you doing this with grants? There's a lot of work that is for free.
Yep. You know what? Father William Leahy, president of Boston College, he is so committed.
Oh, what a service.
He is so committed to the church and to this college and to every person. He basically has said, even with our kids projects, like, get it out there. People need this. And so, no, the Boston College funds everything we do.
Prayers for him will be going a lot.
Prayers for William Leahy.
Okay.
Just a remarkable leader and a remarkable young man, and very, very generous. We do have a program that Elizabeth runs. It's called Agape Latte. You might have heard of it. It's hugely popular and has spread to 60 colleges and high schools nationally. And that did start with an anonymous funding grant. But that's the only money in my time that I've been here that's been grant funded. Again, we didn't talk about Agape Latte. We could have, but that's maybe for another turnkey event. How else can we help? Well,
Do you have something for teens, Karen? Something for, those kids in the 7th, 8th, transitioning into high school?
yeah. Well, I'd say our Agape Latte program, which the model for that is, speakers within a community, maybe within a parish or within a school. Kids ask a speaker to get up and have a 25 to 25-minute talk about a time or times in their life where they saw God working. And even though the story is about the speaker, it's really for the students as they journey. So I see that program, and we can maybe talk to you a little bit more about that. But believe it or not, I'm doing Drawing God projects with a lot of middle schools and high schoolers. And it's working beautifully. I mean, some of the great riches you find or inspiration we all find in a children's book. And I always say, I'm not saying that, kids will look at it and be like, but that's a children's book, but there's so much more to the story. And so I do workshops with middle schools and high schools, and their ideas and their drawings, and I teach them about writing and writing the story, and then I encourage them to find the story in their life, and how can they make something that's a challenge into something wonderful and then give it away. So that's another thing too.
Will you be doing the Drawing with God Stations of the Cross for the older kids, or is that just something that even will span across all ages?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Like initially, I feel like it could span across all ages, Last year we did it with younger kids, but it could work for older kids too. I mean, think about it. Even our young kids, the middle schoolers and the high schoolers, even the kids that are catechized, they don't spend a lot of time focusing in on Stations of the Cross. They really don't. And I mean, I always tell the story that the reason why I'm a huge believer of sharing the Stations of the Cross is because I grew up in a family of 5 kids, and my mother was so busy, but I always remember she'd take me to the Stations of the Cross, and I would have that time with her, and no one else wanted to go. So, I just learned about the stations and just fell in love again, all over again. So it's such a beautiful lesson. Please too know that our staff is here for you. If you need for us to do more Zoom calls with your staff or your teachers or with your parishioners or with your students, please use us. That's what we're here for. Our whole mission, to be a catalyst and a resource for the renewal of the church. And I mean, I feel badly because Patrick and Elizabeth and myself, like, they work so hard. They're here all the time, but we love the work we do. And the best part about the work we do is sharing it and spreading it and giving our faith away, and giving these resources away so that others can benefit. So know that we're here. Other questions?
Could I add a little something to, is it Felisa? Something we've done within the parish with middle school and high schoolers is it's similar to Drawing God, but it's not just drawing, maybe writing God, singing God, acting God, because that age, they're just finding their gifts and their talents, and to challenge them to use whatever it is to express God to each other. seems to have worked well. And obviously, we haven't done it this year or maybe for a couple years, but when we did it, they all kind of laughed at each other first, but they really enjoyed it. And once they got into it, it was like, oh, can we do that again? So just a thought.
No, it's a great, great point. We had, for World Drawing God Day this year, Paula, we had one gentleman and he wrote a musical score. It was amazing, amazing. So again, our imagination and our creativity and our faith is limitless. So we can, take it. I did want to leave you with one more date that I didn't mention. The Drawing God Kids Book Club. The next book club is February 18th. It's Thursday afternoon at 4:00. We have one of my favorite authors. Her name's Anne Booth. And she's actually coming to us live from England. And she wrote this beautiful book called Bloom. And when I read it, I just felt like, oh my gosh, it is such a beautiful, beautiful story of the power of words and the power of kindness. And reached out to her. And as it turns out, she was, Jesuit educated, and she's deep in her Catholic faith and wrote the story from that. And so that's going to be February 18th at 4:00. She's incredible, and you will not be disappointed in either of your kids. The story's gorgeous. Bloom, Bloom, Anne Booth. Anyone else? Well, it's 2:02. I'm mindful of your time, appreciative of your time, thankful for all that you do, and know that we're here. We're like an email away, a phone call away, a program away, an idea away. And let's keep on keeping on together. And our Faith Feeds tomorrow at 1:00, if you're interested, is on baptism. So we'll keep you posted. And let's stay together and stick together and be together and gain support from our fellowship and our love of Jesus Christ. So thank you. Happy day. Almost happy Lent.